Hi, good morning. Today we're going to have a fall prevention class. The first thing that I want you to do is collect a couple of props that I don't have with me right now, but we're going to have a chair and we're going to have a block. Okay, so a chair that has a back that you can hold on to for safety. I have a little stick here, but which we're not going to be using in class, but I'm going to help you understand your center of gravity using this stick. So what is center of gravity? That's our place where our body is most balanced. That occurs in our pelvis, if you see right here, is called S2. So it's pretty low, but it comes around your pelvis. So if you think about, if someone was leaned forward too much, the center of gravity would be really forward. If they were leaning back, they might be really far back. And if Christina faces the camera again, if you had hips going to the left and your body to the right, which happens with scoliosis, or vice versa, you're going to have a balance difference. We want to find our best center of gravity where our feet, our knees, our pelvis, our ribs, our collarbones, and our back of our neck are lined up and long and tall. So Christina, if you turn and face that wall, we're going to line her up using a stick on points that we want to visualize. That we're not going to walk around with a stick, but we're going to visualize, and this you can practice at home, finding neutral. So the stick is on your sacrum, the mid-back, and the back of the head. Not everybody can come against it and line up perfectly. You want to think about, so I'm going to have her draw her core in a little bit more and bring her ribs back, which will help her really connect with her center of gravity. So again, if your head is way forward, let's show it. We don't want that, but sometimes we don't want to force it back. So do your best, even if you have to just line up 2 points. Say your head is forward, but you can line up your sacrum and your thoracic, and you're working on bringing your head back, straight back with a level chin and your peach in place that we teach in Pilates and teach in neutral spine. That would be your center of gravity. So Christina's going to show you how to find it using your inside body and your outside body.
So we want to really ground through our feet, and Chris and I will do this together. A good way to just go drop into your own body here for a moment, not worrying about the external world. We're going to think about our feet and the pressure that's in our feet. Now, really grounding our feet through the earth, let's lift our toes up as best you can. I know that's not so easy to do. And just lifting those toes up, notice the pressure on the heel and on the ball of the foot. Just noticing that. Now, have a slight bend in the knees, and then draw your chin back and down, like Chris said, a peach there. Drop those toes down now. Those might be getting tired. So your toes are down, but we're not changing the pressure in your feet at this point. Now we're going to do what's called swaying a tree. So you're going to go, and Chris, I'll have you go sideways to show them. So I'll do it front way. So we're going to put now our pressure on the balls of our feet, feel that pressure, and then we're going to go back on our heels. We're not going to fall back, and we're just going to go back and forth. So we're in motion here, not falling. We're trying to just stabilize. This is training our vestibular system, and we're trying to use the proprioception of the floor to train our neuromuscular system to respond to movement. Now we're going to go from side to side. So we're just putting the weight on the side of our foot. We're not changing our legs here. See how Chris's legs are nice and straight. And how does a tree get stronger? Well, when we sway in the wind, the trunk gets stronger, just like our bones get stronger with movement. So we're just swaying from side to side, getting used to movement so we don't fall, right? Now we're going to come back to center. And Chris now is going to show us an exercise for in motion. How do we maintain our posture and prevent falls?
Okay, before I say that, I want to just say another word about finding your center of gravity. I love to use the comparison of, so we just found all the directions that our body needs to be able to correct itself to come back to that center of gravity. It's almost like taking your iPhone or what, and there used to be anyway, the home button. This is our home, where our body in center of gravity is safest, and it's just, we come back to it by pushing that button and just starting to make that inside and outside awareness of where we are. So in order to do this next exercise, we lined everything up, visualize the imaginary stick, think about our breathing and lifting our pelvic floor, all the concepts of Pilates. And then all I want you to do is take a normal step forward. So Christina, take a step forward. She could take maybe a bigger step. I'm gonna have you have your weight on both feet. Some people, depending on the tightness of their hips, that might be difficult. And I want you to get both feet on the ground. Good, and have weight even in both feet as you stand. So this is like taking a step, mid-step, holding that step. Now she's gonna challenge it by crossing her arms. So now she's not using her arms. A lot of times you see people when they're having balance issues, their arms will be out and they're struggling to maintain their balance. Her arms are crossed, her weight is even, her core and her pelvic floor are lifted in this position, just as though she took a step. Now, another part of balance is vision. So if you are safe, you have a chair nearby if you need it, you are going to try and close your eyes. So the aspect of our balance, which is not just strength and not just our sensory perception of our feet, feeling the floor, but also our vision helps us with balance. So imagine a blind person, how they have the other components of their balance are so strong. So go ahead and open your eyes, Christina. Step back, and we're going to do the same thing on the left side. So she'll step forward. If you need a smaller step, not a problem to get your balance. If you know you take bigger steps when you walk, then practice a bigger step. There's a lot of components of strength and balance that are in this. Your balance between that space between your legs, and you're almost like on tracks. So standing there, feel your core, feel your legs really strongly anchoring, growing those roots like she talked about earlier into the ground. Close your eyes again. Try that only if you're safe. And you hold it, and you can feel a big change when the eyes close. Open your eyes and step back. Now if you're ready and you want to progress this a little bit more, you can step in straddle stance or walk the line, Christina calls it. So you're standing in one foot in front of the other. And show them walk the line, Christina, first, so you could progress it even to that. Go ahead and turn back. And let's just stop right there. Okay, so we're freeze framing our straddle stance. So our feet are almost touching. They could be touching in that line. And then you practice trying to find your balance with this very narrow center of gravity. In a healthy people without balance, their feet are pretty close together. They're not spread wide. And her arms are crossed. She can practice closing her eyes here. One side might be really different. So we're watching her. She looks pretty good. Now she's going to try the other side, and she's going to tell us if she feels any difference between her right and left side.
Yeah, when you close your eyes, it's very challenging, so be aware of that. And there is a difference definitely when I close my eyes with my left foot in front. So just noticing those imbalances.
There she goes doing her straddle stance. So we always slow these things down and just be aware. Check in with your body and always be safe. All right, Christina now is going to show us single leg cactus with arms balance. So we're doing another balance exercise.
So let's come back to what's called mountain pose, which we have our hands facing forward, or we're externally rotating our shoulders. And find that imaginary stick on the back of your head and in between your shoulder blades and at your sacrum. Let's lift all those 10 toes up again just for a moment, just to feel that groundedness in our feet. And then drop those toes down. Now, if you need a chair here, please have it handy, or you can always place one hand on the wall. Again, yeah, let's grab our chair here to show that. So we're in our groundedness. Now we're going to come in what's called cactus arms. So we're going to draw up our right knee to 90 degrees. And then, Chris, let's just do it with one arm. Just bring your right arm up into a cactus, just to show what this looks like. Her shoulder blade is down her back, her knee is at 90 degrees. She's pulling up her pelvic floor, her abs are engaged. Again, it's always the lift with the exhale. Nice long spine all the way through the crown of the head. Now, if you'd like more of a challenge, take up the left hand as well. Both hands are up in that cactus position. Breathe. That standing leg is going to start to work. Now, next thing is find what's called a drishti. It's something on the wall that is not moving. It's hard if you're watching yourself in a video or you're watching us move in a video. So find something that's not moving on a wall and focus on that. Hold it here for 2 more breaths and come down with control to then switch sides. So again, always use a chair if you need it to hold on with one arm. Left knee is going to come up into a 90-degree angle, then bringing up the right arm. For the cactus arm, make sure you're grounded through the earth, long spine. You can option to lift both arms. Feel those shoulder blades down your back. Always know the chair's there if you need to use it and come back to it at any moment. And we're just going to breathe, lengthening. See how far you can do this. Ideally, we want to hold it for 10 breaths. If you need to take a break, no problem. Always take your leg back down to the ground and then just coming back up into it again. Giving yourself the space and compassion you need in order to really build this in your body. We're working on not having any falls in our lives. So it's hard through life, especially as we age. Chris, I'm going to have you do 2 more breaths here. 1 out of every 4 senior falls within 1 year, and that often leads to severe fractures. So this is a serious issue with falling. We want to prevent those falls so the fractures don't occur. Chris, you can come down out of that. How was that for you guys? Hopefully that wasn't too challenging. You always want to build up to where you're at. So
Great. One thing I wanted to add that Christina said when we did the other side, which I want you to really think about, you know those people I said their hips are off to one side or the other from scoliosis or a leg length discrepancy? If you pull your pelvic floor in and your hip is off to the left, your pelvic floor is going to help you bring you back to bring that left leg under you nice and strong. It's almost like it pulls it in. So, good point. Just wanted to let you know.
Great point. Very important point. Level neutral pelvises in all our exercises. So we were going to do the Warrior 3. We're going to modify it. I'll be your
Christina's
model.
going to be my model. This can be an extremely challenging exercise. It's from yoga, but we have modified it here. We'll show you the full expression at the end. So those of you who want to progress to that, it's totally fine. But I want you again to think of your center of gravity. The core is engaged, the belly is engaged, and you're always getting tall and long, reaching down to the floor, reaching the crown of your head away. So we're getting what's called the axial elongation of the spine and the body and the joints. So what she's going to do, she's going to take a deep breath, and on her exhale, she's going to lift her right leg behind her. And she can even keep her toe on the ground if it feels like this is challenging enough. And as she feels confident, lifting her right leg up, and now she's going to lift one arm up and the other arm up. She's finding her balance here. Core engaged. Now, we've talked about hip hinging. In order to progress this, she can put her arms down if she needs to, or she can keep them up in the air and start to hip hinge. She might need to keep the chair right there, but remember, this isn't to just lean on fully. It's just there for a touch, for safety. And then to show the full expression, she could push the chair away from her and begin to lift her arms forward as she hip hinges. Tight hamstrings on the opposite side might make it more challenging. So maybe you stay here, or you soften and bend your left knee to come down further. To maintain, if we had our stick on the back of her head, between her shoulders and her sacrum, just bring this hip down, just a tad. She's strong, Christina.
Those toes down. It's hard to level the hips.
Toes down and pelvis level. She's very strong. So come back up and unhinge. And remember, you can do this the whole time with your chair right there in front of you. to support you as needed to progress to the full expression, which is all the way down. But there's a lot of factors in getting there. Okay, so let's switch and take a nice deep breath. Inhale, line up your body before you begin. Bring your left hip back. Actually, did we just do left hip
No,
back?
we did
Okay.
right. We did right.
That
You're right.
happens.
You're right.
All right, left hip back, extended. So now she could stay here and just find her balance and barely lift up a right hand, lift up a left hand, or she could lift up both hands. Lift them all the way up. Start to hinge at her hip. And maybe it's different on one side than the other. But maintaining, if I was to take out my stick, flexing her foot to help her direct this hip down, head, back, sacrum. I'm going to bring you down again a little bit. There you go. I know, this is that
That feels
finding
off,
your
yeah.
inside body to what you see outside. So when we get those cues through the stick, it definitely helps us. So we can show you in other videos how we use, other ways we use the stick. Christina, you can come out of it. Remember, it's really easy to hold your breath on some of these things. So natural inhale, fully exhale as the breath comes into your ribs, and then we bring together the front of the body and the sides, squeezing our ribs and squeezing our air out.
And then one more thing here too, like the chest lifting. So that's a real important part of this. We talked about this in our osteoporosis videos, but just a gentle pressure down, but think about really lifting the chest up, ribs in as you hinge forward. That would be my only,
Right. Right.
that helps maintain that imagery of the stick on the back of the
Many more people have that tendency to drop the chest
Oh, yeah.
in, and if they have a little bit of kyphosis or rounding of their upper back, what she's saying about lifting will help to keep you safe and help you to strengthen that area. So our next one, Christina's great at the functional golfer's reach. This is where you're going to need your block. So Christina, if you want to get that.
We're going to need our chair and our block here. So how do we put this in motion in what
You want me to demo them?
you're going to be my demo?
Yeah,
Yes.
I just
so we're going to
realized,
place
so I can do it.
to have the block on the ground. This is our block to lift, imagery for lifting. And what we want to do is add this, what we just did, this Warrior 3 in motion. This is a functional movement exercise. So Chris is going to place her hand on top of the chair with her left hand. Hinge forward, and then extend the right leg back behind you. She's hinging forward, now grabbing that block with her right hand to lift up, right? So we're going to do that again. We're going to do that 10 times. We're going to really feel this in our legs. So placing the block down, leg goes back, nice long spine, just like when we have that stick, and then coming up, placing the block down, hinging the leg up. It's more helpful to have the toes spiraling down towards the ground with a flexed foot to maintain this level pelvis here. So again, we have that chest lifted, hinge at the hips. Hinging at the hips means not hinging at your back. Yeah, no rounding backs here. Now, if you need to take a break, please take a break, but how can you implement this into your daily life? Say you're going into the refrigerator, you have something to hold on to, and you're looking for something in the back of the refrigerator, whatever the other examples we have besides
Or
just
even
lift-
like if you're at the side of your dryer and it's a front-loading dryer, you can go to the front-loading dryer, put your hand on the top of the dryer, open it up and hinge. My hand would be higher up. Hinge and put your load in. So you're not doing that complete rounding and bending. We're always trying to hip hinge when we're placing things in and out of the dryer, in the dishwasher, are both great examples of hip hinging. If you're out there and you need to pick something up off the ground, you just need to make sure if you don't have the balance, because you can learn to do that without anything, but you have to have the balance that and you can work up to that and get to that point to be safe, but always being safe.
Okay, let's show it on the other side.
Okay, here we go.
So we're going to place our block down. We're hip hinging. Keep the toes down towards the floor, flex foot, level pelvis best you can. You are lifting the chest, neck long at all times. We're not leading with our necks, right? Again, you can do this without holding on at all, right? So there's just a chair there to help you. So Chris, show it without using a chair at all. Say you were going to go down. This is how you do this really if you play golf, to pick up your ball off the ground.
And you can use the golf club in
Yeah.
one hand to stabilize as you come down and come up. But again, you gotta be safe. Always
Yeah.
be safe.
Always be safe.
To get safe.
Yeah. Okay, so Chris, take us through the last exercise here. I'll be your
Okay.
model.
Oh, Christina's sitting. We're gonna do sit to stand, and we're gonna bring out my handy little stick that I showed you to find that neutral spine. So we're always pushing the button on our phone to come back to our neutral. So Christina's practicing back of her head, between her shoulder blades, sacrum. No one's spine perfectly goes against it. We're human beings. We have age and life and injuries. But our best case scenario in our home button is lining them all up. If you can only line up the bottom two and your head is forward, that's okay too. But as she's demoing that. But we're gonna keep our eyes forward. She's gonna show us hip hinge. So she's gonna hinge at her hips and then come up and press through her heels to get tall. And go ahead and sit down. Now another thing, I just want to talk about getting up and down. It's really important because people sometimes will hinge so far forward because they don't have the strength in their legs. So we want to get into the legs, hinge forward, find your legs, and push through the backs of your heels to stand up tall. And then have a seat back down, leading with your tailbone, ribs down, pelvic floor. She's going to hinge. Exhale, press through your feet to get tall, maintaining that nice alignment, feeling that inside. Is your weight even in your feet? Go ahead and sit back down. And this time she's going to cross her arms, just like we did earlier, to challenge her balance. Exhale, press through her feet, maintain your alignment, and then hinging at your hips. So we're not hinging at our back, rounding our back as we come into these. Exhale, come back up. We're going to do 5 more. I had a patient once who wanted to go on her travels in the world. She was in her 80s and she couldn't get out of the chair very well. So I said, set your chair against a wall and I want you to be able to do this exercise 10 times and then you can go. She was going to China then. And then you can go, and guess what? She did it, she accomplished it, she went to China and did well. Great. So 2 more, Christina. Christina's nice and strong. So remember, if you need to stay out one to have better quality and form, that's fine with us. Okay, so that is what we had to show you today in our fall prevention class. Let's end with a Da Vinci feet. Our shoulder distance, maybe slightly turned out, a little wider than shoulder distance. We're going to inhale and exhale and have a great day.